We've been tracking the progress of a proposed CO2 pipeline that is coming from out of state and being proposed to go through more than a dozen Illinois counties. And it's brought together an interesting coalition of opponents, those who are worried about the environmental impacts of piping in a byproduct of industrial wastes into Illinois to then pump it into the ground. But people concerned about environmental concerns also being joined by those who are worried about private property rights when it comes to farmers and residents of small villages possibly being in line of this CO2 pipeline. You've got one from Navigator being proposed. You've got another one that is Fox and ADM being proposed, and all of this making its way through the Illinois Commerce Commission. Well, to talk more about this, we're going to be joined now by Tracy Fox. She is an advocate and somebody who's raising some questions and concerns about the issues around a proposed pipeline and how we might be in harm's way. Tracy, thanks for taking time with us here with WMAY. There's an event coming up in Peoria that we got to tell people about as well. So welcome to the program, and tell us what your thoughts are on this proposed pipeline.
Thanks, Greg. I appreciate the time. I have been focused on the Wolf pipeline. With my name being Fox, it does get confusing, but Wolf has partnered with Archer Daniel Midlands to bring in CO2 from a couple of ethanol plants in Iowa, and they're going to cross the Mississippi up north of the Quad Cities, and then they'll cut across Henry Stark. They'll come to Peoria County, which is where I live, and then go on down through Tazewell, DeWitt, and ultimately end up in Macon County at Decatur. Our biggest concerns about this are the people-centered safety concerns. There was a high-pressure CO2 pipeline accident down in Satartia, Mississippi. And high-pressure CO2 pipelines are sort of a different animal than oil and gas pipelines that crisscross the U.S. and, have been with us for many years. In order to get CO2 to flow through a pipeline, you have to put it under very high pressure. These high pressures and the different behavior of liquefied CO2 mean that there's a unique set of engineering risks to the welds on these pipelines, the pipeline material themselves. They're uniquely susceptible to even small amounts of erosion. They can get different kinds of fractures. And their real fear is that the way that the steel reacts sometimes is that it unzips the pipeline so that basically from shutoff valve to shutoff valve, which could be 2.5 miles, 5 miles, maybe longer in rural areas, you get this big cloud of CO2 that comes out. It reverts back to its odorless, air form. And unfortunately, it's a little bit heavier than oxygen. So at ground level, you end up with this mix where you've got more CO2 than is safe for humans to breathe. And this is exactly what happened in Satartia. It is a very rural area in Yazoo County, Mississippi. They had a pipeline that ruptured because of some instability on a creek slope where there was just a little bit of erosion over time. The pipeline burst and nobody knew what was going on. The emergency dispatch system didn't understand the symptoms being reported. The company didn't do any notification to EMS responders. We had people whose vehicles stalled out and quit running because there wasn't enough oxygen for spark plugs to spark. We had emergency responders who came in. Their vehicles quit running. They had to strap on breathing apparatus, and thank goodness they had the good sense to do so, and walked in a mile or more to rescue people who had been stranded by the side of the road and were largely unconscious. It's a miracle that no one died. There are several people that had to be revived with paddles, so, they might tell you that they in fact did die that day. We feel like the firsthand accounts from the victims, from the emergency responders are so compelling that we wanted to bring them to Peoria to galvanize people to work against this. So on Saturday, August 19th, we're having two programs called Satartia Speaks. We're having one at the Southside Southside Community Center at 10 o'clock, and then we're having another one in a little larger venue at 1 o'clock Saturday at the downtown Peoria Public Library. You can come, you can hear Debray Burns and Cassandra Faye Adams, two of the victims. You can hear from Jerry Briggs, who is one of the EMS rescuers and actually the person who drugged Debray to safety and, rescued him and saved his life. And then we're also going to bring in via Zoom Dan Ziegert. He is the reporter who dug and dug at this Satartia story until the HuffPo piece came out in August of 21, nearly 18 months later, the gassing Satartia story. And that was really pivotal in starting to bring attention to the threat that these pipelines could pose.
Well, Tracy, again, thanks for clarifying. It's the Wolf ADM collaboration, not the Fox ADM collaboration. I appreciate you.
I don't want to be tagged with that.
Yeah, no, I understand. And there's a lot going on with this. Of course, the Illinois Commerce Commission, you had a staff engineer there say that they should deny the Navigator pipeline proposal.
Right.
But there's also this ADM proposal that is going through the ICC, and people need a lot of information about all of this. So I appreciate you taking the time with us this morning and laying it all there as concise as you did. So give us one last time the location and the times for this Saturday's events in Peoria to focus on getting more awareness about this issue.
Absolutely. Saturday, August 19th, 1 p.m., the downtown branch of the Peoria Public Library will be in the lower level auditorium with Debray Burns and Cassandra Adams giving firsthand accounts of what it was like to live through a CO2 rupture, and Jerry Briggs, the EMS technician that rescued them, talking about the challenges this poses for first response for hospital personnel and why he would never live in a county with a high-pressure CO2 pipeline again.
Again, greatly appreciate it. We'll definitely check back in with you guys in the future as we continue to track what's happening with this proposal that is going to impact a lot of people if it's allowed to proceed. So be safe out there, all right?
All right. Thanks for the opportunity to share the story.
Absolutely. It is Springfield's Morning News on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk. And we've got more to get to.